Welcome back to Brian Carter's channel. My name is Ahmad Safdar, and today we have a special treat for you guys. Probably known as one of the most radical figures in the Harlem Renaissance, we have Claude McKay, also known as Infant Terrible. We are going to ask him several questions in this interview and tell you a lot about his very strange yet very impactful life. Welcome back. Now, to introduce, this is Claude McKay, one of the most radical political figures in the Harlem Renaissance. I have several questions to ask you, Mr. McKay. You have a very weird history. So, where were you born?
I was born in Jamaica to two parents who were of Ashanti descent. They were farm workers, and they were very wealthy that they were able to vote in Jamaica, and they helped me advance my education from the start as a young child to where I was able to write poems when I was only 10 years old.
So, why did you move to the United States?
I moved to the United States for the opportunity, but as soon as I got there, I was in places such as Charleston, South Carolina, where there's a lot of segregation and prejudice against African Americans, particularly people who come from other countries as well. This eventually made me want to leave the college I was attending in Charleston, South Carolina, and attend Kansas State University, to where I would see less prejudice against the color of my skin.
So, I heard that W.E.B. Du Bois' novel Souls of Black Folk had a huge impact on you. Is that correct?
Yes, I read this novel many times, and it really helped me change my perspective on a lot of things, and it really helped me realize a lot of great things. And W.E. Du Bois was a great writer, and he opened my mind to new ideas and a lot of new great things.
Very nice. So, when you first started working in the U.S., you didn't work for a newspaper. You were just basically a waiter, correct?
Yeah, I worked on the railroads as a waiter. But I wrote on my off time, wrote lots of poems in my free time. I still continued writing throughout all of this.
So when you came to the U.S., which newspaper did you work for?
I worked for the newspaper The Liberator, and this was a great experience for me. It got me it was able to let me get my feet wet in areas that I really wanted to pursue, such as writing and looking over lots of people's work. I would receive many submissions from a lot of people. One in particular, Gene Toomer, who after reading his work, I became very interested in it and very intrigued for his point of views and what he had to do.
Very nice. And you also published a very big poem named If We Must Die. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes, so If We Must Die, I decided to do this poem particularly around the time of the Red Summer, when there were lots of race riots and lots of racial things happening within the United States. A period of time when there was a lot of trouble going on, and if we must die, I was trying to urge African Americans to fight to the death and to try and resist the attempts to go back to slavery. Those are the main points I really wanted to try and get across.
And then after a couple of years in the United States, you moved to London. Why and what did you do there?
I moved to London simply because I wanted to just explore different places and see what exactly their system was like. And this is a place where I eventually started joining communist parties and became very interested in socialism and this is what sparked my first interest in communists. And basically in England, after I read pieces by Karl Marx, I was just so intrigued by socialism and its whole aspect and how everything is handled in the process of socialism.
So what did you think about Marcus Garvey's nationalism and the middle-class reformers NAACP?
Well, this is very interesting. Marcus Garvey, really, I didn't like his views and the way he handles things with the NAACP. I didn't like his views on a lot of things or the process and the way he did things,
yeah.
Which eventually made me to join another radical group, which had Cyril Briggs and Wilfred Domingo, and we wanted to fight for black self-determination in a socialist revolution.
Very nice. And then you worked for Communist Weekly, correct?
Yes.
So after England, where did you end up moving?
I went back to the U.S. for a while just to kind of handle some stuff, and then I eventually left to the Soviet Union in Russia.
So you went to Russia after the United States. What did you what were the several things you did there, and was your sole purpose visiting to see the communist nation?
Yes. No, in particular, I spent a couple months in Russia, and it was a great experience just to explore the communist system and see exactly how the people live there and how the whole system is run as a whole. I attended the fourth Congress. I attended the fourth Congress of Communism in Moscow, and this was a great place where I got to learn a lot of great things. And I got to meet a lot of people, such as Leon Trotsky, who was a great man and who had lots of good views and ideas on the communist system. And from what I saw, I thought the communist system was pretty well thought out and seemed to be working in a pretty sufficient and efficient way.
And what did you detail your experiences in? Well, it was called the Soviet Russia and the Negro, correct?
Yeah, I really thought it was great because I felt like the prejudice against Negroes wasn't as great in a communist system, since everyone is considered equal and on the same level. Everyone, except for like such as higher officials, would be on the same, so there was really no segregation, and honest racism was a non-existent thing.
And you wrote about Home to Harlem. Can you talk a little bit about the character Jake? He's very intriguing.
Jake, yes, I really wanted to push this character really far because I made him as a real ladies' man, and a man who could depend on women but didn't want to depend on women. He really wanted to go out and make work for himself, which he never really had to. And I really liked Jake because I wanted to get across the point that men can work for themselves even when they have other things offered to them.
And so you basically made a black identity, which I found very interesting. On top of that, you got a lot of attention for this novel, for instance, by W.E.B. Du Bois, who saw the nightlife that you wrote about in Home to Harlem as very interesting and very, I guess, filthy. Would you agree that the Harlem nightlife is filthy? And I guess what was your purpose for writing this book? To have a what's it called? To shock many of the readers, including the white people.
I mean, in many aspects, yes, this is the point I was trying to get across. But I wanted people to take what they want from the book. You can see it in any position you want. And literally, my point was pretty vulgar and pretty straightforward. But people can interpret this any way they want.
All right. Well, it was nice interviewing you, Mr. McKay.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.